In terms of thinking about whether you should manage for soil biology specifically and for organic matter, I think you need to think in the context of your soils as a whole and your production system. So the most important consideration should be what is the primary constraint that's at the site or in the soil. And as you manage those constraints and effectively alleviate them or deal with them, your production systems will increase in terms of their yields and their biomass production. You'll start putting more inputs back into the soil, so your soil biology and your organic matter start to roll with those improvements in soil condition. If there's an acidity constraint in your soils and you manage to increase organic matter, you are always going to be constrained in that system because you haven't addressed the acidity, which will also be influencing your microbial community and how it breaks down organic matter. So the way that we would consider is a good management strategy to perhaps target a wide diversity in a large biomass in terms of your soil biology is to look at or to include a diverse rotation sequence, for example. So different types of food coming into the system, keeping plants growing for as long as you can within a season, so essentially increasing the number of biologically active days will help to increase not only the microbial biomass but the diversity. So essentially providing a range of substrates that communities can degrade and consume, and by doing that you're also enhancing the functionality of that soil, so you're nutrient cycling and you're building structure and you're allowing that soil to be resilient because it has different populations that do different jobs. So the primary drivers of soil organic carbon in WA are soil type and climate. Soil type determines the ceiling to which we can store carbon, and climate determines how much inputs or how much organic matter we can put into soils and how quickly that turns over. So it's a slow process, it's largely decadal, so taking 10 to 20 years to change it by a significant amount. But it is a positive change and it's associated with positive benefits in terms of your soil function. So the effect of different inputs such as fertilisers, herbicides, pesticides on your soil biology are quite wide and varied and dependent on the type of product and how you apply it, and the length of time that it impacts on your soil biota can vary quite significantly. Historically, things like copper fungicides had quite a significant impact. They're not really in use any longer. So current inputs, where they're targeted to soils, have a transient or a short-term effect generally on your soil biota, and they may have impact things like the diversity of the population rather than its function. So one part of your population may be influenced, but another component may pick up that function and be able to perform it. The role of mycorrhizal fungi in soils is very dependent on background phosphorus levels. So the role of mycorrhizal fungi is to extend the hyphal network and capacity to pick up phosphorus which isn't mobile in soils and enable it to be captured by the plant. So generally we see in very high phosphorus level soils that mycorrhizae don't have a particularly strong role and aren't particularly effective at increasing P uptake. And in very low P level soils it can be similar. So moderate level soils are generally where we see some impact of mycorrhizal colonisation and an associated increase in phosphorus uptake. So the use of compost and biochars in production systems is dependent very much on the volume that you would require for the rates that are recommended and transport costs associated with that material. It also depends on the functionality that you're looking for in terms of your soils and what is its function in soil. Is it a function that you require? One of the issues with any of the amendments to soils is their quality and composition, and quite often you find that will change depending on what feedstocks are used to make the compost or biochars. They can have quite different qualities. So if I was going to trial a soil management or amendment strategy on my farm, I'd be looking to put strips of treatments within a paddock. So you're looking at areas that are not treated against areas that are treated and measuring something. So you want to consider what is the function of interest associated with that product, and if it's soil pH, you obviously want to measure a change in soil pH between the non-treated areas and the treated areas. So consider what it is that you want to change and make sure that you sample appropriately so that you capture those changes and you have the evidence to say, yes, this makes a difference.
It's been really great spending some time with Fran today and learning more about soil health. It's been really interesting getting an idea of where we're at and where we need to start to make improvements to ensure that we're heading in the right direction with our soil health, which in turn will grow good pastures and grow good cattle.